Good morning, Mid-North Coast. My name is Paul Pellier. I'm from an organisation called Accellier Education, and I'm doing this morning's 10 at 10 session. And it's lovely to join you this morning and to share with you my answers to some of the questions that have been asked of me. I'm both the interviewer and the interviewee. So I have 10 questions here. It's 10 a.m. and it's time to get into it. So, Paul Pellier from Accellier Education. We're based in Dorrigo, New South Wales. Although, given the current situation, I feel like we're based all over the country because we're working from home most of the time. I think I've been popping into the office about once a week over the last month or two. And we have a distributed team. We have people all over Australia working with our organisation. And so that's the answer to my first question. And the second question is, how long have you been in business? Well, we've been in business almost a decade. And time flies when you're having fun. It's been quite a journey, and it's probably been starting and running a business has probably been one of the most rewarding experiences of my career. The question that comes in at number 3 was, what is your preference for marketing your business and why? I think my preference is that our customers are just raving about us. And so word of mouth. And that has been very kind to us over the years, to the point that I think that there's been times where we haven't really put much effort into other marketing strategies. And so word of mouth is definitely number 1. I think for many businesses that might go without saying. Admittedly, social networking has been a bit of a downfall for me. And that's because I don't know why, but I tend to have a little bit of resistance there. But that's the thing with business, is we need to recognize our shortcomings and areas where perhaps we could do with some improvement. And that's certainly been my experience when it comes to social media. And I know it's a huge opportunity for us. It's not like we don't do it, but I think we could do a lot better with social media. So number 1, word of mouth, followed very closely by Google Ads. So we put a bit of money into that, and we tend to use that to kind of boost up times when it's a little bit quieter. What has been your biggest business disaster, and how did I turn it around? I feel very fortunate that we have managed to avoid any major disasters. And if I am totally honest, I'd actually say to you, and I'm probably being a little bit candid here, the biggest threat to the business has probably been myself. And, about 7 years ago, I wasn't doing too well. I was struggling a bit using alcohol to cope. And, the pressures of running a business, especially being, 3 years into it, was quite difficult for me. And so that was a huge lesson, because what I ended up doing was seeking help. And from there, every day has been an improvement, and it's been wonderful to seek help on outside problems. So, and I think that was a huge lesson for me about recognizing that my own shortcomings can be a massive hindrance or a risk to the business. And so seeking outside assistance, not just for personal stuff, but for business things. So areas where I might not have the skills to deal with it. So things like social media, for example, or it could be seeking business coaching and having someone hold up the mirror and go, hey, look, you can't do everything, mate. You need to get some help from other people. I've been very fortunate that I have an amazing team of professionals who work with me, and there's things that they just do to such a high level of professionalism that I can never do. And so, trying to surround myself with great people who can support the growth of the business. What are my most important business tools? Well, I think this has been really highlighted of late, and that is the shift in internet speed over the last 10 years since I started the business has been phenomenal. And now with a good sturdy NBN connection, with a solid 4G backup, we can basically work from anywhere. And we've really proven this over the last few months. And I know it hasn't been business as usual for everyone, certainly not for us either. But having that solid, reliable internet connection, and most of the time it's been pretty good despite the load, it's allowed us just to get on with the job, make things happen, and do that from home or wherever we choose to work from. So I'd say my most important business tool is to be wired up to the cloud tools and all the other bits of software and things like that we use. Add to that, I'd say Zapier is a really cool tool for automating some of our repetitive processes. So I try to identify things in our business that are just a bit repetitive and maybe just taking up time that we can look at and go, hey, I wonder, can we just create a little bit of a script that can do that for us? So Zapier has been good. And Google Meet, or everyone's on Zoom these days, or whatever your video conferencing tool of choice is. But for us, Google Meet's been great, and Zoom's been also really helpful for our educational, our webinars and the things like that we run. So video conferencing is amazing. It still blows my mind that we can do that so easily now. And I know some people in regional Australia do struggle with a decent connection to the internet. But yeah, certainly for us, video conferencing has been huge. And Loom, LOOM.com has been a really amazing tool that we've just used over the last probably about 12 months. And it's this incredible software that you can basically record your screen with a little thumbnail of yourself down the bottom, and it instantly streams it up to the cloud, and you can instantly share that video with your team. So things where I might be tempted to write a long waffly email about how to do something or write a big procedure, I wonder, could I replace that with a video? And also communicating with our clients, how to do something, how to log in, and do that on the fly. And it only takes a couple of shares of a video to our clients, and you get a huge return on investment for things that may be a bit repetitive that you're constantly explaining over the phone. Make that video, get it out there, and I'm finding that we're really saving time and also communicating the message in a lot stronger and more richer way. Question 6 is, what is my most prized business system? Well, I'd say that our most valuable business system is our enrollments, our system that processes the enrollments. And it's not really just one piece of software, it's part of our website. It uses that tool I mentioned before, Zapier. It links up with our accounting system. But basically, we've spent a lot of time really crafting and honing this system to try and make something that is frictionless for our customers, or at least trying to reduce that friction as much as possible, because it is a critical phase in our customers' journey that they have a good, smooth experience on enrollment. And not just for the customer, also for us as a team as well, so that we can act on enrollments. Think about what happens for an educational institute like us when someone hands over their hard-earned money in fees. They're about to commit to a massive journey of learning and discovery for themselves. And if that process falls over and is a flop or is difficult or frustrating, it's not a great start. So we want to make that as a good experience for our customers as possible. So we spend a lot of time on that, refining, crafting, and honing that, and we continue to do so. It's definitely an evolving process. So I'd say that's our most prized or valuable business system. There's lots of other things too, but I'll leave it at that. And what is my preference, running a small or large organization? Well, I love the dynamics of a small team. I love being a part of this really dynamic, nimble group of professionals, where we just get stuff done. We see an issue or we see a problem or something that we'd like to address, and we just go for it. Or we see an opportunity and we can just go for it. And that's one of the wonderful things about working with a small team. So I definitely enjoy working in a small organization because of that. And how do I maintain my work-life balance? Well, I know my partner's watching, so I can't tell fibs here. It is something that I continue to struggle with, and I'd say most business owners will find the same kind of thing. That being said, I feel I have made some significant improvements over the years. So some of that, I remember when, this is before Accellier, but when Blackberries were all the rage in the business world, they were the business device of choice. And for the first time, I had emails on tap 24/7. And it almost drove me insane, checking emails before bed, at dinner time, at the weekend. And there's a time and space where that kind of connectivity is important. But I think, for me, I needed to wind that back and really try and create a space for work and a space for living. And if I can create that happy and calm kind of life outside of work, it makes me a better business person on the job. And I'm going to wrap it up shortly. The most important thing to do when managing a team, I feel, is to listen and to empower my team to make their own choices. And finally, what's the most important piece of advice I've received in regards to running a small business? I've received a lot of advice, and I've taken a lot of advice too. I've learned so much. And I think for me, it's about the grass is greener where I water it. I think many of us can be tempted to look into other people's backyards. And I've learned over the years that it's very important just to not try and worry too much about what every other bugger is doing, and focus on what I'm doing and what I can do to improve, nurture, build, and help my business to thrive. So thank you very much for joining me this morning with Regional Development Australia's Mid-North Coast Regional Business Connect. Thank you, Kerry Grace, Russell Pell, and your wonderful team for having me on board this morning. It's been a pleasure. Have a great Tuesday.